afternoon, everyone. This is going to be a model where you create a spirograph. If you haven't seen one of those before, it's the kind of thing that loops around and looks kind of like a flower, or it can have edges, and it's really cool. I'll show you an example at the end of this video. This video is also here to help you figure out and navigate the different parts of NetLogo. So we're going to go through this all together, and feel free to pause the video and actually try this in NetLogo. Before you start this, make sure you have NetLogo downloaded, and you should be ready to go. Okay, so first off, we're going to start in the coding tab of NetLogo, and I'm going to introduce you to how to make comments in your code. Whenever you put a semicolon and a semicolon in front of a line, anything you type after it will turn up a light gray, and that will not be something that the computer actually reads. So you can leave comments to yourself about what your code does, and you can mark your code that way. So what I want you to do is put the name of your model, go ahead and put 2 semicolons, and then put Spirograph. Enter, and on another line you'll put your name. I'm going to put mine. Enter, and then you'll put the date. Today's date is August 21st, 2013. Once you have your code commented, so it's labeled and you can tell what assignment it is and who it belongs to, or I can tell that, then you can begin your code. And we know that we always start with to and setup, and we're going to put an end, and everything we do for setup will be sandwiched in between there. Today we're going to do 2 different procedures. We're going to do setup, and we're going to do go. So we're going to add another one, and we'll just name it go. To go, and then end. And I'm just going to put some spaces in between there so we don't get confused. So your basic setup for any model is you're always going to clear all at the beginning. Remember that it has to be a dash in between or it won't work. And then you can create your turtles. However many turtles you decide to create is up to you. Here I'm going to put 3, and feel free to mess around with them. The setup procedure is also where you want to tell the turtles where you want them to go and what heading they should start off setting. So if we want turtles to do something, we always do ask-turtles. Oops. Sorry, and I lied. No dash. So ask turtles, open bracket, close bracket, and everything we want to ask them to do, we put in there. In the setup procedure, I'm not going to ask them to move at all. I am just going to tell them where I want them to be. And from last time, we know set x, y. We can put the x and the y. So I'm going to set x, y, -5, 5. So it should be in the top left corner. But you can set your x, y wherever you want. If you don't set x, y, it ends up at 0, 0. And then you're going to set heading. And I like to set my heading 0 just for setup. And one last thing in setup, we want our turtles to start out with pen down. Okay, so in our setup, and let's check that, we're good to go. If we go to our interface, this won't do anything until we add a button telling it to set up. Remember to type it exactly the way it is in your commands. If you want it to look like something different, you can type what you want it to look like right there. But it has to, the command right here has to match the command in your code. So we'll hit OK, and if I hit setup, I should have a turtle in the top left corner, and he is facing 0. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to our code. We don't just have a setup procedure, we want it to actually go. This procedure, I'm going to do nothing but ask my turtles. open bracket, close bracket, space in between, and we tell our turtles what to do. So a very simple spirograph would go forward, you could choose how many, right, and I'll say 170 for right now, and we'll leave it at that. Okay, this seems like it's not really doing anything, it's just going to make one little line, and you're right, but I'm going to show you how to change that. Before we do that, we're going to comment on our code. It's always a good idea, and you'll get extra points if you comment on your code. So this tells us to go forward 10, and this tells us to turn right 170 degrees. This tells the turtles, you can just use 1 semicolon too if you want to. This tells turtles to right, and let's go ahead and check that. Notice anything in the gray still stays gray. We go back to our interface, we hit setup, and that's not enough. So we have to add another button for each procedure that we created. The next one we created was go. Again, if you want to title it like go, you can change that in the display name, but it has to be exactly the same and exactly the same capitalized in the command. Alright, so we're going to set up again and hit go, and we get a line, but that's not very exciting. We want it to do that over and over and over again, to repeat that go procedure. So you could do that by typing it in 1,000,000 times, or you can right click on your button, hit edit, and click the button called forever. When you do this, this is a form of loop, and this loop is going to continue for forever, going forward 10, right 170. So let's try that again. Ooh. Okay, if you set up, it clears it all. If we slow it down, you can actually see it do it. And I have 3 different turtles, so they are all doing the same thing, which is kind of silly. Okay. So once you've done this, you've got your basics, and I want you to play around with forward and right, and also see what happens if you add some, maybe make this longer and add some backward or some left. You could have it go forward, right, forward, see what that does, and just play around with those shapes. When you're done with that, come back to this video, and I'll show you how to do the information section. Okay, so every time that we create a model, we are going to annotate our code, let's put comments on it, so that other people know what each part does. That's really helpful if you're working in a group and you're each doing different pieces so they know what's what. And we're also going to edit the information section. So what you're going to do is go to the info tab from your code tab, hit edit, and anything with 2 number signs or 2 pound signs in front of it can be edited to be a title. So we're just going to put information right here. We don't need a question mark. And we're going to get rid of the rest of it. Okay. In your information, you should always put your name, you should put the name of the model, just Spirograph, and then you should put what it does. So in this section, I'm going to let you describe what it does. Describe. Oops. Okay, that should be a short paragraph. Once you've done that, then you're going to hit Save As and save your name as, or save your model as Spirograph dot your first name, your last name, dot N logo. Save this either to your H drive or your jump drive so you can access it later. I saved mine to my desktop. Okay, a couple more things. If you finish that early, you can try multiple things. So you could add another go procedure. You could add a go to and put other things in there. You could try creating different turtles and setting their X and Y at different places. And you can use the vocabulary that's in here. So you can actually set the color of the turtle to a specific name by asking the turtle set color name, which would be the actual name of the color, like pink. So if I did this one right here, I'll get rid of that. I could, in my setup procedure usually, because that's where I'm creating the turtles, set color pink. And now, when I set up, you can see my turtle is pink, and so are my lines. You can also set the pen size and the turtle size larger as well. So that will go in your code as well. If you're setting the size of the turtle larger, you can play around with that and see just how large they get. Set size 5, setup, and you can see he's much larger, but the pen size is the same. So in order to change the pen size, you would need to ask the turtles set pen size 5. And let's make sure that's in the right spot. Okay. And now we have a much thicker line. So play around with those things. See if you can even get multiple colors in the same one. If you have questions, feel free to ask. And remember to save, save, save.